Okay. Getting towards the end. Na yat prasada yutabhagalesham anye cha deva guruvo janasvayam kartum sameta prabhavanti pumshas tam ishvaram tam sharanam prapadye na yat prasada yutabhagalesham anye cha deva guravo janasvayam kartum sameta prabhavanti pungshas tam ishvaram tam sharanam prapadye na yat prasada yutabhagalesham anye cha deva guravo janasvayam kartam sameta prabhavanti pumshas tam ishvaram tam saranam prapadye yat prasada yutabhagalesham Ladies, kartum sameta prabhavanti pumshas Ishvaram tam sharanam prapadye. Na, not. Yat prasada of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ayuttabhagalesham, only 1/10,000th. Anye, others. Cha, also. Devaha, even the demigods. Gurava, the so-called gurus. Janaha, the total population. Swayam, personally. Kartum, to execute. Sametaha, all together. Prabhavanti, can become equally able. Pumshaha, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tam, unto Him. Ishvaram, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tam, unto you. Sharanam, shelter. Prapadye, let me surrender. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Neither all the demigods, nor the so-called gurus, nor all other people, either independently or together, can offer mercy that equals even 1/10,000th of yours. Therefore I wish to take shelter of your lotus feet. Purport. It is said, Kamaistaistaya hrittagana prapadyantenya devataha. People in general, being motivated by material desires, worship the demigods to get fruitive results very quickly. People generally do not become devotees of Lord Vishnu, since Lord Vishnu never becomes the order supplier of his devotee. Lord Vishnu does not give a devotee benedictions that will create a further demand for benedictions. By worshipping the demigods, one may get results. But, as described in Bhagavad Gita, Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedasham. Whatever great benedictions one may achieve from the demigods are all temporary. Because the demigods themselves are temporary, their benedictions are also temporary and have no permanent value. Those who aspire for such benedictions have a poor fund of knowledge. Tadbhavatyalpamedasham. The benedictions of Lord Vishnu are different. By the mercy of the Lord Vishnu, one can be completely freed from material contamination and go back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, the benedictions offered by the demigods cannot compare to even 1/10,000th of the Lord's benedictions. One should not, therefore, try to obtain benedictions from the demigods or false gurus. One should aspire only for the benediction offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayashyami ma suchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. This is the greatest benediction. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshunudam Jina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Bangalayate Gidam Jadkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. So we are living now in a land, Bharat Varsha, and particularly Bharat, the country, where the worship of demigods is very prevalent. And especially we are living in one part of Bharat called West Bengal, where the worship of demigods is even more prominent. And we are living in a place that in the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was even the most prominent. When Advaita Acharya looked out and saw and observed the people of Navadvip and how they were spending lakhs, crores, what we would call millions of dollars today to worship Chandi, to worship all kinds of devas. This is the place that Mahaprabhu appeared. A place where, despite being a center of learning, this Navadvip was the home of great scholars, very well versed in Nyaya. In fact, this is historically known as the birthplace of what is called the Nava Nyaya school of philosophy. Nyaya is logic, and the philosophy, the practice of logic was especially prominent in the University of Mithila and I think Nalanda. But some of those scholars came here, and that's another story, and they founded the Navanyaya, an advancement and a improved, new and improved version of logic. And yet, despite their great learning, in the words of Sri Krishna, they are what? What was the term used in this purport? No one remembers? Huh? Apyamedasha. Little knowledge. Prabhupada calls it, he loves this term, poor fund of knowledge. Their fund was down to the last paisa. Not very much. In fact, they were stupid. They're just stupid people. To think that by worshiping the agents of the material world, they would achieve anything truly valuable. And this is our state as well. Our poor fund of knowledge, our Alpomedasha, leads us to think that the pleasures of this world, that the enjoyments that we can get within the material world are worth pursuing. To the extent of austerities, some of the worshippers of demigods here in Mayapur, we witness just recently, I think was one of the main times where you'll find people, even today, I think you find people in orange, right? They're walking around. When we arrived from We came back from our tour in the West, and we were on the train. We arrived in Burdwan quite late at night, and we were driving back, and all along the path, there were these people in orange with their pots, and they were walking barefoot, and they were trekking along to do what? We weren't quite sure where. It was either Tarakeshwara or there's another place. To worship Shiva. They're doing some pretty tough austerity. Walking barefoot at night, long distances, to pour Ganges water on Lord Shiva. For what? For some material benediction. How does that prayer go? Dhanam Dehi Rupa. What? Someone must know that. Rupam Dehi. Huh? You know? Dhanam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, this one Dehi. Give me this, give me that. There's a... anyway, I can't remember some take on this. So they're worshiping. Give me this. Give me wealth. Lakshmi Devi, especially. And especially Durga. Why not? Durga, she controls everything. Now I was thinking about this. That there's one school of thought that you just do karma. That it's all karma. That you do the right thing, you'll get the right result. So the path to prosperity is to do right. You do good work, you do pious activity, you get the results. And in fact, there's a school, it is called I think Karma Mimamsa, right? Or Prabhupada was speaking this morning saying Karmavad, those who, because in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about these people that, you know, when he's explaining to Arjuna and saying, well, why are you worrying? He talks about even those who don't believe in any supreme controller, or if they think there is a supreme controller, but he's bound to respond. He's bound. The laws of karma mean that if you do something good, you'll get some good result. So why worship God? Anyways, you're going to get what you're going to get. Why spend time worrying about worshiping God? So that's one school. But then comes these worshippers of the demigods, and they think a little further. They're thinking, all right, well, yes, there's karma, I can do good things and so on. But hey, if I get a special, in with the devas, then they can give me something that even I don't deserve. I can get something, extra. All right, I can do karma, I can do all those things, but, how about getting a little extra, a little special mercy? Now, of course, to pursue this, you have to believe that there are such individuals behind the material world. This is, of course, not very, very accepted in most of the world today. They just laugh at you. They think, oh, there are gods behind the sun. There's a god behind the moon. There's a god of anything. It's just there. It's just material things. Okay, we can accept perhaps there's some karma, all right, action begets a reaction. That kind of makes some sense. But to think that there are some beings that could change your karma, that could give you something more, something extra, just by pleasing them. But that's the path of the worshippers of the demigods. And it is a fact. There are such beings. We don't see them. I don't think. Anyone here had a recent encounter with a demigod? At least we don't. They used to. There were times, just 5,000 years ago, we know that Kunti Devi, she played around with her mantra, and poof, Surya was there in front of her. There was a time, the time of this Bhagavatam, when demigods were roaming around in the universe. They were visible. People could see. They were much more involved. Today, despite all the efforts of Dhanam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, and so on, demigods don't come around. At least not in a visible way. Of course, they came here to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And apparently they also have come many times to observe the Sankirtan. Srila Prabhupada could see. Right? He saw. Oh, you didn't see? He would comment sometimes, or there was a kirtan, and or there was some program, and the devotees were lamenting. Well, no, very few people came. And, whoa, you didn't see? Brahma? Shiva? So yes, these entities are there. We don't see them. We hardly can understand how they exist from our frog in the well position. We look at how we are, our limited, so limited consciousness, limited to just this one body. How can there be a being whose consciousness pervades the wind? Who has power over the wind and the rain? How can there be a being by whose pleasure I can get Dhanam and Rupam and all those things? But they are there. Lakshmi is there. Durga is there. They're all there. And yes, they can give us benedictions. They can give us material things if we engage in their worship and we please them. Some, like Lord Shiva, he's easily pleased. He's also easily upset. So you have to be a bit careful. You can get these things. But still, Krishna says, you can get these quick results. But, in my opinion, you're stupid. You're alpamedasha. You're foolish. Because they won't last. They just won't last. You'll go through all of this, you'll enjoy something, and then you'll be back at square one. How would you think? I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to become the CEO of the biggest company. And I get it all. And then just as I've reached that pinnacle, I lose it all. And I'm back at square one. If I knew this was going to happen every single time, not just, okay, one time I'm going to make it and it's going to be permanent, right? No. Every single time you achieve whatever you achieve, you get the heavenly kingdom. You cannot keep it. Never, ever. You'll lose it again and again and again and again and again, eternally. You want to do that? Is that what you want? Krishna says, Forget it. It's a lost cause. From the beginning, it is not possible. People say there's nothing impossible, right? There's nothing impossible. This is impossible. You cannot get permanent happiness in the material world. Impossible. So why try? Why endeavor so much when there is such a wonderful alternative? When Krishna says, Sarva Dharma, just give it all up. Give all that stuff up. The worship of demigods, your karmic endeavor to, increase your credits of pious activities, all of that. Surrender to me. And then you think, well, wait a minute. But I've committed so many sins in my life. Don't I have to do something? I have to counter all of that. Otherwise, I'm going to suffer. Krishna said, no. No. Aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshaya shasmi. I'll take it all away. Ma sucha. Nothing to worry. No fear. Surrender to me. Be my devotee. Worship me. Please me. We endeavor to achieve things in this material world by pleasing someone. As we please another, we get a reward. We please our bosses, we get a raise. We please our family members, they reward us with so many varieties of enjoyment. So we're seeking to please others in order to get something from them. And thus the worshippers of the devas, they seek to please those devas so that they may enjoy some reward. Krishna says, well, okay, please me. You'll get such a reward. In fact, he says that even you want material things, at least Bhagavatam says, akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udharadi. Okay, you want this material world. All right, you're still stupid. You can't figure it out that it's not worthwhile, but all right. We'll accept that you're just, you're just poor fund of knowledge. All right, okay, we accept. Still, do bhakti yoga. Worship Krishna. Krishna's the source of all those demigods. If you're thinking, by pleasing the demigods, I'll get so many... Well, then what to speak of pleasing the person who the demigods worship? Makes sense, right? So, from every angle, you want to enjoy this world? Worship Krishna. And if you're smart and you understand that there is ultimately no point, it's temporary, it won't last, I'll be back to square one. And you hear the call. You hear the call of Krishna. You open yourself up and you hear him calling you. Come back home. Leave this world. Leave this material world of suffering behind. Come back. Be with me. Give up all this material, this idea that you can enjoy without me. Understand that there isn't anything but me. And you are part of me. You're all simply part of me. We're together. We enjoy together. Come back. Heed the call. Give up all this useless attempt. Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam saranam vraja. Satyavrata in these prayers is expressing the same thing. This whole Leela, in fact, has been arranged by Krishna to teach Satyavrata. It doesn't come into the Bhagavad Purana because there's actually a full Purana, Matsya Purana, which contains all the teachings of Matsya. But the result is, already we can see that as a devotee, he can see that all of this endeavor to worship demigods, to please the forefathers, he even mentions gurus. Now, we might think, well, what about, gurus? Wait a minute. We also seek to please our gurus. So Prabhupada inserts, he said, so-called gurus. When I first read that, are you taking a little liberty here, Srila Prabhupada? I mean, the word here just says guru. But it's important because actually in the following verses, you'll see the same thing is corroborated. That these gurus, they're not the real gurus. These are the gurus that teach us the mantras, Dhanam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, those mantras. They're those kind of gurus. In fact, sometimes I read this morning, Vishwanath Chakravarti translates them as parents. Those kind of teachers. They also have mercy. This verse is describing how they give benedictions. They can give benedictions. Prabhupada says that these kind of benedictions, he says in this purport, he describes that people generally don't go to Krishna for these benedictions. Because Krishna generally doesn't award such benedictions. He's careful. What does he say? What does Prabhupada say here? He says he doesn't give benedictions that will create a further demand for benedictions. It's not enough. Okay, you go to Shiva today. This year they went to Shiva and they got that was great. Let me go next year. I'll ask for some more, and let me I'll keep at it. Krishna doesn't want to be bothered with such things. He said, if for those purposes I will give you faith. Don't worry. You want those kind of things? All right, I'll give you the faith in Durga or Shiva. I'll give you that faith. Because without that faith, you won't do it. I'll give it to you. I'll give you the faith so you can go and worship all these different devas. But if you come to me, I'm not going to promise you something material. I'm not promising you great wealth. I'm not promising you a wonderful life in this material world. I'm not promising you, a healthy body. Many devotees just witnessed the departure of my godbrother, Gunagrahi Maharaj. Gunagrahi Maharaj was one of my first inspirations, you could say, in Krishna consciousness. He was in the temple in Buffalo when I got there in 1970. He was already married, and there was three householder couples in the temple, including the temple president, Rupanuga, who then got Tejas married, and then he became the temple president. That was the way of things generally. And I always remember his happiness, his friendly, happy demeanor. We were, it was an austere little temple. We had our breakfast of 6 chickpeas, right? I don't know if you were, how many remember that time? There was a time in the early days of our movement where we had a very, specific breakfast, and it was said that chickpeas were quite good, but because of the protein, you shouldn't take too much. It will become, you'll become agitated or something like this. So we counted them out. You could have 6 chickpeas. So 6 was the limit. If you took more than that, you're going to fall down. That was a little, we were a little immature. We made our toothpaste from Prabhupada's formula. How many here have used Prabhupada's toothpaste? A few. It's made with mustard oil, so it's not the most tasty toothpaste. Mustard oil. So, but it was Prabhupada's formula. So we had our toothpaste. We had our 6 chickpeas. We had two menus. Dal and chapatis one day. And then the next day, or I don't know if it was every other day or every, I think it was 2 days of dal and chapatis. And that's it, dal and chapatis. One big pot of dal and chapatis. No sabjis, this, that, no, just dal and chapatis. Now the dal did have vegetables in it. Okay, so it wasn't just dal. That was it. And frankly speaking, it was fantastic. It was just great. It was amazing. And then the next day we would have banana date nut bread, which was this amazing bread. So yeah, it was a simple diet, and you could say maybe it was austere, but it was actually really delicious. And I remember, Gunagrahi Prabhu at the time, how enthusiastic he was always, and how friendly and jolly and happy. And through the years, although he left a few months after I got there, we met from time to time. He used to come here much more often when he was in the U.S. Then he went to South America and didn't come as frequently. And he loved kirtan. And especially, he had all kinds of instruments. He introduced playing on a Congo drum, and then he had this, what you were describing it, this little bell thing, a tower of bells that he would ring, and just added a beautiful note to the kirtan. And he was one of those kirtaneers who, it's interesting because you didn't see him lead the kirtan that often. Most of the time he was a participant in the kirtan. Sometimes you find kirtaneers who, when they're leading the kirtan, they're like really enthusiastic and and they're just really into it. But when someone else is leading, they're kind of off to the side and maybe not. I mean, I don't want to judge. I mean, but you could see that he was just so into the kirtan. He wasn't like, well, I've got to be the leader of it. No, it was the kirtan. And as Krishna would arrange, as he was departing this world, Bhakti Bringa Govinda Maharaj was leading kirtan, Radhanath Swami was leading kirtan, few other, what is it, Dina Bandhu from America, Ritadvaja Maharaj. But now he wasn't given health. Krishna didn't give him a healthy body. Krishna gave him, suffering in this material world. So Krishna is not promising us, I'm going to give you health, I'm going to give you wealth, I'm going to give you all these things. He's promising us, I'm going to give you freedom. I'm going to give you freedom. And I'm going to give you love. And this is the greatest. This is what we really want. We want freedom. We want to be free. And we want to love. This is Krishna's promise. Mam ekam saranam vraja masucha. Hare Krishna. Thank you. If you have any comments or questions, then I'll try to answer. Hare Krishna. Yes, Moksha. From yesterday? Yes. Okay, well, I did listen to class yesterday. I wasn't here, but I listened.
I read again the text. It's just a curiosity. It's not a big question. It says that, probably everyone knows, I don't. How did Narada Muni become the disciple of the Supreme, of Krishna, the Supreme Person?
Yes, that was. I found that interesting too. I said, it's. In the final analysis, the original guru is Krishna. His disciple is Narada, whose disciple is Vyas. Because we generally understand Brahma receives the Vedic knowledge, and Narada is the disciple of Brahma. But we also know that how Narada describes his own progression, and this is my only thing that I can offer here, that Narada describes his progress in devotional service and how he had become, he was the child of a maidservant, he became the servant of the Bhaktivedantas, the devotees, how he then went on to worship Krishna, and how Krishna appeared to him. So that's how I can understand that Krishna did personally appear to Narada Muni. Perhaps that's Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments, or anyone else has a answer to this? Krishna Kripa?
In Tallahassee, the Indian congregation decided to do their Maha Shivaratri ceremony at our temple, and we have Gaurnitai deities there, and so we ended up going along with it, and there's a certain puja that they do, but we added some Hare Krishna to the beginning of it, and I decided, because I couldn't stop it, I wasn't in that position, but I read from the Navadvipta Mahatmya about Lord Shiva and how he abandoned Kashi in the age of Satya, and he went to Navadvip, and he was chanting Gauranga, and he was trembling in ecstasy, and his Parvati asked him what's going on, and he explained to her about the worship of Lord Gauranga, and she entered into the worship of Lord Gauranga, and so I told the whole story, and it really brought things to another level. They never really understood how Lord Shiva was connected with Lord Gauranga, and I felt we really upgraded the whole thing to something valuable.
Yes, yes. This is actually something that we should all remember, that it is an offense to criticize the demigods. They're devotees of Krishna. It's offensive to consider them on the equal level, but it's also offensive to consider them independent. The offense is to equal to or independent of, to think that they're not connected to Krishna. They are Krishna's servants. So we should always respect them in their position. And know that by worshiping Krishna, they're all pleased. That's what they want. They're the devotees as well. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Oh, yes, Prabhu. I think we have a translation going on.
Okay, the question is, Lord Chaitanya, to understand the love of Radharani, he had to descend here, on the Earth planet. And you say that we have to go from Earth planet as soon as we can. Lord Chaitanya, he could understand love of Radharani in any other place. Why he came to Earth planet? Could he? Question. Could he understand love of Radharani in any other place?
I think, if I understand your question is that in order for Krishna to experience the mood of Srimati Radhika, he came here to Sri Mayapur. And that you're saying he came to earth to experience. Could he have gone somewhere else? Well, I can only say two things. One is that this is not earth, in one sense. When Mahaprabhu appears, he appears in his dham. And the dham is different from the material world. It is the spiritual world. He manifests the spiritual world here. And that same spiritual world that he manifests here is also manifest in Goloka. So Gauranga is experiencing his love in Goloka as well. But in order to specifically teach and deliver the fallen souls of this age, he manifests that pastime here in Sri Mayapur Dham and in Purushottam Ketra, Puri. Especially in Puri, he manifests the lila of tasting the love of Srimati Radharani in its highest state of separation. So it is not that he requires the material world in order to experience this. In fact, it's the material world is not material when he experiences it. It is his manifestation of the spiritual world in the material world. Does that answer your question? Some of his lila is only here in this, just like, what is it, the terms of naimitaka, two terms of lila, not, help me out, Krishna Kripa. Naimika, I'm forgetting the Sanskrit, and lotika. Yeah. So there's those leelas which are manifest in this world that you don't experience, that Krishna needs the material world in order to express. And I assume, I don't know this, maybe you can confirm it, that his acceptance of sannyas, for example, Mahaprabhu's acceptance of sannyas and his traveling and his preaching, he needs a world like this where those things are relevant in order to have that lila. Similarly, Krishna, if he wants to kill demons, he has to have demons to kill. And there's no demons in the spiritual world, so he comes to the material world, and he wants to have the lila of creating material things. This world is known as Krishna's Shrishti Lila. It's his Lila to create this world. And it's a wonderful world. We mess it up a lot, but Krishna's creation is amazing. It's beautiful. So, maybe you can come and we can discuss. Hare Krishna, thank you. Haribol.